The article talks about the city of Bakhmut in the Donbas region of Ukraine. As of today, it is now under Russian control.
This was a huge battle between the Russian troops and Ukrainian defenders, with Russian mercenary forces leading the charge. It was the longest and bloodiest fight of the war yet.
Ukraine sought to buy time for their military to prepare a crucial counteroffensive by forcing a protracted fight in Bakhmut. But after a litany of setbacks, Moscow focused on seizing Bakhmut over the winter in the hopes of a much-needed success that could also serve as a stepping stone to the rest of the industrial heartland.
The city's symbolic weight had grown with each day that Ukrainian defenders held out against waves of Russian attacks. That resistance became a point of national pride, with the phrase "Bakhmut holds" becoming a daily patriotic rallying cry.
Over 20,000 Russian forces were killed since December, estimated by the United States. Half of them were Wagner fighters whose combat was focused in Bakhmut. This led to Yevgeny Prigozhin, the Wagner mercenary chief and close associate of President Vladimir Putin, to become the public face of Russia's war in recent months.
Prigozhin had threatened to withdraw from the city after releasing a series of furious video messages aimed at Russia's military leaders. He also accused them of starving his men of ammunition and abandoning ground they had captured.
Despite the dire situation, Ukrainian President Zelensky defied the urging of some analysts and opted to reinforce his troops defending the city rather than withdraw, hoping to frustrate the Russians further and inflict more costly losses on the invaders.
It appears those hopes may have been fulfilled, though Ukrainian troops undoubtedly suffered huge losses themselves. Ukraine chose to reinforce Bakhmut in recent months despite a dire situation that saw them control just a single road into the city.
Russia will control a city left in ruins, with residents forced to flee or face dire conditions. Now Zelensky is rallying global support and securing new military aid as Ukraine prepares for a sweeping counteroffensive that will aim to seize back land across the front lines of the war.
So even though Russia has taken Bakhmut, Western officials and military analysts have said that it is unlikely to prove a decisive turning point in the conflict. The fall of Bakhmut won't necessarily mean that Russia has changed the tide of this fight, as put by U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin in March.
That's right. In addition to this article, we will also be discussing third-party cookies and the consequences of disabling them.
Cookies are small text files that websites store on a user's computer. When a user visits a website, the website sends information to the user's computer. This information is stored in a cookie. Cookies are basically tiny bits of data stored on your device that help websites remember who you are and other information you provide when visiting a website.
There are two types of cookies: first-party cookies and third-party cookies. First-party cookies are created and stored on a server owned by the website you are visiting, while third-party cookies are created and stored on a server owned by another party. Both types of cookies can be used to recognize your device when you visit the services and when you visit other websites or online services.
Third-party cookies can be used to enable certain features or functionalities, as well as advertising on the services. The article outlines the various types of cookies used, such as strictly necessary cookies, information storage and access cookies, measurement and analytics cookies, personalization cookies, and social media cookies.
As well as these types of cookies, there are also interest-based advertising cookies, which are used to deliver advertisements that are relevant to your interests. This helps to make online advertising more effective and targeted.
If you don't want to receive interest-based advertising, most third-party advertisers offer a way to opt out of their interest-based advertising. Depending on your country of residence, you can visit certain sites to opt out. There are also ways to manage cookies on your browser or device, such as using browser controls or opting out of analytics provider opt-outs such as Nielsen or other third parties.
Disabling cookies may mean that some parts of the services won't function properly. However, your opt-out preferences should still be remembered. Additionally, if you replace, change, or upgrade your browser or device, or delete your cookies, you may need to use these opt-out tools again. Recently, there has been a lot of ethnic violence in India's Manipur state.
After breaking out earlier this week, 55 people have been left dead and 260 hospitalized. Over 23,000 people have been displaced.
Gunshot wounds are the most common injury, and many places have been left in ruins. Indian Army troops have been deployed to the streets, and a 5-day mobile internet blackout is in force.
A tribal leader who works in Imphal said his house was vandalized and ransacked, and that many other houses were burnt and churches were vandalized. He said there was almost a systematic execution of attacks.
Indian Governor Anusuya Uike issued shoot-at-sight orders in an effort to bring the situation under control.
The skirmishes first started after thousands of tribal people took part in a rally against potential inclusion of the state's majority Mangi ethnic group in India's scheduled tribe grouping. This could mean they would get access to wider benefits, including health, education, and government jobs, leaving other tribal groups potentially disadvantaged.
Hopefully, the situation will be brought under control soon. That's it for today.
This week, smoke from wildfires in Canada has been making its way into parts of the central U.S. This has caused air quality alerts to be posted across several states.
The smoke concentrations will eventually make its way into the Midwest and could affect major metro areas including Chicago, Indianapolis, and St. Louis. This is due to Canada having an especially active start to the fire season, with wildfires in Alberta burning 150 times more area than in the last 5 years combined.
In Nebraska, residents have been warned to limit outdoor activities due to the smoke potentially causing dangerous air quality and poor visibility. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's Air Quality Index indicated that parts of the Rockies, Great Plains, and Midwest have very unhealthy air quality.
So it's important to take the necessary precautions if you're in an affected area. That's it for today.